So I told you how I was gonna watch. I was watching the QAnon documentary
Yeah,
on HBO,
yeah,
and how I had thoughts. And so let me ask you this, because I didn't really know anything about it. Do you know, what is your knowledge of QAnon?
sure. Well, uh, conservative. You go. There's a political spectrum, which actually I think is more like a circle, really, because if you go too far one way or the other, you end up sort of being the same.
The same person, yeah.
But anyway, if you go too far, whatever your beliefs, if you go further to the right, you get a little conspiratorial,
Hmm.
and it attracts um, conservatives who are, I guess, pretty extreme and I don't know, worried or conspiratorial, maybe a little gullible.
But do you know anything? What specifically do you know about this? I mean, other than just general conspiracy type theories, what do you know about QAnon and its beginnings and stuff like that?
It's been it's, to me, it's a little strange. Like, it was supposedly this person on the inside of the White House that had like, hey, we're an insider, we're gonna whistleblow, we're gonna tell you everything that's going on, and then they had these, and then they made these um, claims that were pretty extreme, like Trump is going to arrest Hillary Clinton, it's
Hmm.
coming up, and a lot of people ate this up, I believe, and in doing so, it created a movement, and then they congealed through the "where we go one, we go all"
Okay, so you know a little bit.
letters, and
Yeah.
one we go WW, where we go G one WGA. Yeah.
It's a long acronym. It's not really
Yeah. It's weird. I would see that and I was like, what's that? Like hashtag WW. And then I learned, I was like, oh, it's not even like saying anything. It's a creed just to say that we're together.
It's from the movie White Squall.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Which White Squall, the name kind of has probably, I'm sure, an extra little bit of the storm, the White Squall. It's a storm about the white squall is a storm in the ocean,
Yeah.
maybe, but
Yeah.
White
I know.
Squall, storm is coming, all that kind of
Okay.
plays into, yeah.
And it's been extremely um it's been extremely I guess successful and roulette it has endured, right? Despite the things that have not come true that they claimed
Yeah.
that would,
Mhm.
it has endured, which surprises me, but I don't know, that's a lot of people are susceptible to that kind of, I don't know, excitement, suspicion. I've believed some conspiracy theories, in my adult years too. So I kind of get it, but this one is, I've looked into ones that are a little more mainstream, like the JFK assassination and things like
Mhm.
that. But um, yeah, this is pretty out there. It's pretty
Yeah.
extreme stuff, and yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm sure the movie just sort of laid all that out, and
Well, I mean, yeah. So I went into this thing. It's a six-part,
Mhm.
six-part documentary on HBO. It just came out a few weeks ago, and it just wrapped up this past weekend. And I knew nothing. I knew I'd heard of it. I knew it was some sort of conspiracy theory based thing, but I didn't really know. Like I knew pizza, the whole Pizza Gate, DC, like that was
Yeah,
connected. And but
yeah,
basically, I won't get into all the details of it. But I mean, I think it's definitely interesting to watch. But I think
Mhm.
what some of the stuff is so absurd that people believe in this
Mhm.
thing, and then you kind of see the journey of like the Q figure who's giving these bits of information or bits of this and that, or this can happen, and then there's a point where it kind of they think Q maybe have went from one person to another person, and another person's kind
Sure.
of guiding the thing. But when they let the way they lay it out, you can see that just kind of it's kind of absurd, right? And that's not just me being someone who's thinks I'm better
It
than that.
starts
It,
it
it,
starts it's like any movement that gets off the rails.
well, so what I kind of what at a certain point, I just thinking I don't. How do people get sucked into this? But I think there's a part, and okay, so it got me to thinking like, how do people get sucked in? How do this? And I think that
Mhm.
the through line between this conspiracy and other conspiracies and a whole lot of other things. I mean, you could rope religion in, you could do different things. And I think people just want to believe that there's somebody out there who has
Mhm.
the answers and that will guide them, you know,
Mhm.
that will direct them down the right path, that will lead them, you know, that will give them the answer in a world of confusion and questions and chaos, that they will give them the answers. And it's kind of, I don't think life really works that way. And
Mhm.
so, okay, so I've been thinking over this, and this is the best thing I came up with, is that you've got vegetables on one side, and you've got, let's just say, chocolate, your preferred type of chocolate on the other side, right? One of
Mhm.
them is delicious and instantly gives you gratification.
Mhm.
One is
Mhm.
something that's mostly bland, and but it gives you nutrition and helps
Right.
you, but it's a
Right.
longer process.
Yeah,
And I
sustains.
think that we want things to be instantaneous. We want the rush, the high, the quick thing that
Mhm.
makes us feel good in the moment, not the thing that's sometimes boring but gives us the clarity or strength over the long term. And I think the conspiracy theories are just that chocolate, you know, sitting right in front of you, that you take a
Yeah.
bite and you're like, oh, this tastes good, this tastes good. And eventually by the time you realize the shit is making you, it's taking you down a wrong and unhealthy path, you've put on 50 pounds, you're just like, well, might as well keep on eating. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, you're invested. You're
Yeah.
invested.
And when you see the people who are kind of pulling a lot of the strings, or who we are believed to be pulling the strings, then I mean, if I was someone who believed it and I saw these people, I'd double, triple, quadruple down, because if I had to admit to myself that these people were the ones who would get
Mhm.
me to jump through hoops and do the dance, then I mean, it's when you see them and you hear them, you're like, this is the guy who's manipulating all of this, all these people, these guys. At least have it be some sort of
Kinda like the Wizard of
mastermind,
Oz.
kind of, smooth, like cunning, just somebody who's just like, oh yeah, I could definitely see myself getting scammed by that person.
Mhm.
These fools. But anyway,
I think
it's
it's important when watching a movie like that, um, to balance it, because a film like that is actually, in a way, I worry, in a way, it would be just as radical as the QAnon movement itself. I shouldn't say that, not as
no,
radical, but
no.
but 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 done in a way to where it's like, we're gonna focus on this one right-wing thing and make them look, show the ridiculousness of it. And I think it's important to keep in mind, so you don't fall for radicalism, so you don't fall for,
See,
oh, stupid Republicans, stupid conservatives, to balance it out with the same susceptibility that the left has for falling for things that are
I am
ridiculous
look,
too.
I am not for equal, like I don't think everything has to be like, well, okay, sometimes things just are okay. You watch the documentary, they
Mhm.
talk to the people who are behind the sites that people that Q that the Q would post on, and you just get to
Mhm.
see them. And I know, I mean, I'm a video editor, I know how you can manipulate stuff in the editing room. But I also know at a certain point, when you see enough video, you have enough to kind of think, okay, you can't manipulate all of this. This is just, this is kind of who this person is, right?
Oh, yeah, no, this is a
Yeah.
revelatory, work, and it's
Yeah.
important to have it revealed.
And so I think that it's good to just say, hey, this just is what it is. We don't necessarily need to say, oh, well, the left has this version of that. I think it's in a bubble, or in an isolate this. I'm just talking about QAnon. I'm not
Mhm.
speaking anything to the left, has its crazies too, different types of crazies. But like you said earlier, they all at some point meet at the other end of the circle. And
Mhm.
I've got my issues with people who are super far on the left too. But this particular thing, if from what I saw, and what most people who watched this saw, it's not that ambiguous as to what was going on for most people. I mean, I'm sure there's another side of that argument, and I'd love to discuss it. but anyway, it just seemed kind of it just got me thinking as to how people really get into these conspiracy theory type,
Oh,
how
yeah.
people become Fox Mulder, but without, in
Right,
but without the
right.
badge.
No, I was referring to, like, as a consumer,
Mhm.
and right now it's so polarized. It's like The Daily Show. they'll bash conservatives all the time, and Tucker Carlson will bash liberals all the time, and that's all they do. And there's no it's just it's tribal. It's team.
Mhm.
Their team is worse than our team.
Mhm.
And so a documentary like that, it is interesting. I haven't seen it, so I can't
Yeah.
speak for it, but I
Mhm.
hope it was done in a tasteful way so that it isn't just exploiting the people who fall for that stuff. And I know it's hard to not exploit it because they did some very harmful things. And I shouldn't say exploit. It's hard not to like want to maybe twist a knife or really make them look stupid or something like that because they've done a lot of harm. But I mean, that just perpetuates things. And you know, you get the never vote Republican, never vote Democrat, and
Mhm.
that sort of polarity is not healthy. Um, but I mean, we're not in a healthy place right now. You know, we've got these radical elements, and it goes back to what we talked about last time in the first podcast about how the internet has done this,
Mhm.
right? Because these conspiracies would not go nearly as far as they did if
No.
not for the internet. The
No.
internet has been a really tough thing for our country, more so than I don't know. It's amazing how like China has been relatively peaceful with the internet. And they've locked down on it, you know, and they've
Well, they've been
cracked
peaceful
down.
because they're a communist country. They can control what's on it, right?
Yes and no. I mean, it's not that hard to get around their restrictions actually, but the
Mhm.
people there are pretty. Because I lived there for a year, and the people there
Oh
are
yeah.
pretty.
So,
They're pretty compliant, you know. Like, oh, I had a blog on WordPress, and people couldn't go to it because it was blocked. And I said, oh, just use a VPN, and that way you can route your traffic through another
mhm.
place, and then it won't look like you're coming at it from China. And they said, oh no, it's fine. Like, we just won't go to your blog then
Was there
because it's
some sort of worry or threat, that there was some sort of consequence?
I didn't see a lot of ambition. I met one woman that was a little more rebellious, and um, but I I didn't, you know, it's all anecdotal. I didn't do a survey
Right.
or anything, but I just didn't meet a lot of people who seemed interested. And I met quite a few people. I worked at a school and I taught adults English, and none of them really seemed to really, you know, just okay, it's
Well,
blocked, can't go
and
to
that
it.
probably speaks to just the nature of kind of people who crave out, who want to look behind
Yeah.
the curtain. There's like,
Mhm.
I think we just live in a culture and a society where a lot of people think, I mean, and probably because there have been a lot of instances where the government was hiding things or was doing stuff, or there's
Mhm.
just, so the trust kind of is gone at a certain point, and you always think that there's something more going on. Whereas me,
Yeah.
I kind of think most things are like, I think there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the shadows, but I don't think it's that complex. I think people just kind of steal and
I,
rob, and it it just, but it's
yeah.
not
Yeah.
this grand conspiracy. It's just,
I agree. I see the harm being done to the US as a whole as much as anyone, but to think that it's some plan is where it loses me. It's like, yeah, all these things can be happening, but it doesn't have to be a plan to
no,
um I mean, in my state, people think that our governor is here in Minnesota is doing all this for some plan to destroy small businesses and all that. And it's like, no, I mean, maybe he is destroying some small businesses, but it's not. I don't think that's his goal. I don't think that he wakes up in the morning and thinks I'm going to do this.
mhm,
Um, it might end up benefiting Targets and Walmarts more than the mom and pop, and that's true. I think he is destroying it, but I don't think he's
yeah,
doing it. I think he's just more concerned about the virus um, than you are about the economy.
yeah,
Things like that. It's just priorities, and it's how he sees the world. So
mhm,
through that lens and through the effectiveness of government or the ineffectiveness of government, we have these solutions that really aren't doing too well.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, that kind of explains the whole COVID fiasco in this country. It's been inconsistent and half-assed and
Mhm.
not too good. The U.S. is in a tough spot.
I got two shots tomorrow, so I'm feeling a lot better.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, yeah. My
Was there
mom
any?
got hers a few months back, so we're good.